Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. It's the sequel to the 2011 reboot that the series really needed. Is it worth your time? Let's find out. Hey everybody, welcome to the Captain Vita Show, where I do the very difficult task of telling you whether a movie is worth your time or not, and if it deserves a spot in your movie collection. I'm Ash and I'll be your host. Today we're going to be talking about Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, which is out in theaters everywhere now. So, let's begin. So Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, it picks up 8 years, I believe, after the first film, where the simian flu wiped everyone out for the most part. Humanity is basically gone except for a group of people who live in this society, and they're led by Gary Oldman, and they're like... But along with that, we also have the apes from the first movie who are living in their little society, where, you know, they're peaceful now. They're happy. They got what they wanted. They got their freedom. Now they live in the society, and it's amazing and beautiful. Then the humans and the apes meet up, and... They get to the point where they're like, okay, we gotta decide whether we think we can live with these guys in peace or if we should go kill them. And just, I guess, look at the movie poster, because then you can see, like, I don't think it turns out good. Now, if you saw my top 10 most anticipated movies of the year list a while back, you'd know this was number 2 on that list. The only movie that beat this movie out was Godzilla, which is my favorite movie of the year right now. So you can tell I was very, very, very much looking forward to this movie. I was hyped out of my mind. This entire week has been hell just waiting for it. And it's here. It's finally here! And now I know that me, along with a few other people, we saw the trailer for Rise of the Planet of the Apes. I remember seeing it on a bunch of YouTube videos. And the way it started, I was like, what is this? James Franco? He's curing Alzheimer's? Okay. And then apes were running around, and I was just like, But it was around that time where I really got into movies, so I was just like, I'll give it a chance, I'll go see it. So me and my brother did, and it blew us away. Like, the scene where Caesar speaks for the first time, I think is one of the best scenes in movie history, at least in the last 10 years. Like, that scene is just, it shuts everyone up. So I'm just like, okay, we're getting a sequel. Now I'm hyped. Did this movie live up to the hype? Yes! Of course it did! Look, 8.8 on IMDb. It deserves that score. However, I didn't enjoy this movie to its full extent, and let me explain why before I get into it. It's just the fact I was so hyped out of my mind for this movie, there was no way I wouldn't be disappointed a wee bit. And when I say that, I don't mean anything wrong about the movie. Like, I don't have issues with the movie. Like, I have one, and I'll talk about it later. But I don't have big issues with the movie. My issue was, I'm sitting there anticipating the entire movie, and as I saw with Godzilla, that can be dangerous to a movie, because then you see it again and it's better. So I am seeing it again, you are getting a spoilers review, so that's going to be the legit review. This one's just, I just saw a movie about apes on horses with machine guns. Let's talk about it now! So... Because even with all that being said about how I was anticipating every new scene and that kind of ruined my enjoyment, I loved this movie. I loved this movie. This is probably, like Rise, one of the smartest sci-fi films we have gotten in years. Like, this isn't just your typical summer blockbuster. This is a legit good movie, and that's saying something. Like, especially the first thing I gotta bring up is, if you think you've seen this movie, just like, I've seen the trailers, so I think if you've seen the trailers and you think you have an idea of what this movie is, you're wrong. I'm here to tell you, you're wrong. Because I was one of those people, I'm like, okay, I have an idea of what this trailer is, I have an idea of the story I'm getting. No, this movie's a lot of things. Predictable is not one of them. This movie is always unpredictable, because a scene will happen and you'll be like, oh, this is how this is going to happen. It's just like, oh, you thought that was going to happen? Nope! And we go down a completely different path. And it's just like, this is not the movie I was advertised, but I'm not angry. You know, it's not like Spider-Man 2 where they literally advertised a different movie than the one we got. This is just like, it's apes on horses, but they're on their horses differently, and I'm okay with it. And a big part of that is the fact that this is not as much a legit war movie, like war, as you would think. This is more of a political movie, actually. Like, because a lot of it is actually just Caesar, like, why would we want to go to war? So many of us will die. And that's something I loved about this movie. Because originally, I'm just like, no, they gotta go to war. They gotta go to war. But then I'm sitting in the theater and I'm like, Caesar's just like, oh no, why would we go to war? I'm just like, Caesar's right. It would be so dumb for your leader, he's the leader of this new society, to go, yeah, I know we all love each other, and they're probably not going to hurt us, but let's go, like, kill ourselves, you know? This guy only cares about peace, and that's okay. That's okay. And it works perfectly the way the movie is, like, told. Now, Caesar doesn't want war, he wants peace. All he cares about is protecting his fellow apes. Because he's basically their king now, you know? Caesar means king. So he's just like, no, we need to protect our people in this society. That's another thing about this movie. Probably my favorite part of the movie is this ape society. You know, we have the human society, which is like, yeah, it's a human society. We've seen that forever because we're living in one, like, right now. But this ape society, it's like, it's incredible how they interact with each other. They have teachers, they have hunters, they have royalty, they have a language. They have a language, and I don't mean like they go like, oh, 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 and like subtitles come up. They've learned sign language so they can speak to each other. Because they can speak, but their voice boxes. Monkeys aren't supposed to speak. So whenever they do speak, it's only when it's necessary, and when it's necessary, it's badass, and you get just chills down your spine because it's awesome. But they always speak through sign language, and somehow it gives these apes such character. And I know it's called Planet of the Apes, but still, when you give the apes such character, to the point where I'm like, I'm not like distinguishing them, like, oh, here's the human characters who I can get attached to, and here's the animals. They're one and the same in this movie. They're really just, I don't even know how to explain it. It's just, no one sounds silly. Because normally, if you read this, like if you didn't know about Planet of the Apes, you just came up to a guy and went, I want to make a movie and there's going to be apes in it. You mean monkeys? No, they're called apes. They don't like being called monkeys. And they're riding on horses and they have machine guns. Like, that sounds like a very silly thing on paper. But when you bring it into this movie and you give these apes character, and you give them like relationships and this whole society, leadership, all of this, that's what makes this film political. It's political in the way it's just like, we can strive for peace because we can actually communicate. Like, throughout the movie, the humans are like, they're apes, they're dumb, and then they'll come talk and they'll be like, they talk, okay. But what I'm trying to say is, once again, this way, you really don't distinguish them. There's no one character that's just like, well, these are the ape characters, you know, they're just apes. You're just attached to every character in this film just because they all feel human in a way. And good job. Good job. That's something that should be difficult, but you did it, so I applaud you. Not to mention, it really does help that these apes look incredible. Like, the CGI in this movie is phenomenal. There's one scene in the beginning where they're fighting this bear, and the bear does look kind of like, to me, but the apes. There are scenes in this movie where they have like close-ups on the apes. You would think this was an actual ape. Like, that's how good this is. This is a sign of this new era we're in. You know, technology has improved. We can put people in fancy little suits and turn them into animals. And that leads me into my next point. We are in a new technological age. It's time to adapt. I'm talking to you, Academy. I know everyone's on this bandwagon. You're probably sick of hearing it. Andy Serkis. Andy Serkis deserves an Oscar nomination for his role as Caesar. He was able to get... He's just like, oh yeah, you want me to play an ape? Okay, I'm gonna make him one of the best characters of the last, like, 10 years. And he does. Caesar is one of my new favorite movie characters ever. He has beat out King Kong at this point for best ape ever, which is ironic because Serkis played King Kong too. But, you know, it's incredible what they can do with him and what he does with Caesar. He plays him flawlessly. This is a flawless performance, and I know everyone's on this bandwagon, but it angers me that like people don't recognize him for this. It has to be everyone else in the world except the 90-year-old guys at the Academy just like, well, I don't know, we need to focus on not giving Leonardo DiCaprio another one, so you can move over, Circus. So it's just like, give him something, please. But he's not alone on that front this time. Like in Rise of the Planet of the Apes, Caesar is your main attention. Like, all the other apes are cool, but you really don't get attached to any of them as well as you did Caesar. That's mostly because of his relationship with people. In this film, we have this ape named Coda. You remember Coda? He was the guy in Rise of the Planet of the Apes. He was the angry ape who was like blind in an eye and he had scars and was just writing on things, and he killed the black guy. Spoilers, it came out in 2011. If you're not going to see it now, you're not going to see it. But, wow. Wow, wow. And I'm forgetting the name of the guy who played him. I have it right here. Toby Cabell. Toby Cabell. This guy is awesome. This guy is awesome as Coda, and Coda's an awesome character. Like, he's basically the opposite of Caesar, in the way that while Caesar strives for peace among everyone, so everyone can just live, Coda's like, no, I kind of think we need to assert our dominance, we need to let them know we are not to be messed with. We need to go to war. And that dynamic is amazing, especially because in the beginning you find that he's Caesar's right-hand man. They are close. So watching them just have this conflict of ideals, it's incredible. They have the best chemistry in the movie. The apes had the best chemistry in the movie with all these human characters alongside them. That's something. That's something. It's just like, wow. Wow. However, you all know I said in the beginning of this review that there is one big thing that bothered me about this movie. You see this guy? That's Gary Oldman. He's one of the best actors working today, and he was a big part of the reason I was getting so excited for this film. And he goes criminally underused in this film. And, you know, this is just my own personal opinion. I know a lot of people have been giving this movie perfect scores, but this is the reason I won't. Because what I wanted from this film was, like, with the humans, you have Jason Clarke's character, who he does very good too, and he's kind of Caesar, you know? The two of them have this parallel where they just want peace between their two species. And what I wanted was Gary Oldman to have this parallel with Coda, where they wanted to go to war. And it's kind of like that, but honestly, Gary Oldman isn't in the movie nearly enough for me to get that from him, you know? I couldn't get that sense of anger from him. I could have used an angrier Gary Oldman. I felt like he just drastically underused, and he really was the one big shining flaw in this movie for me, as Bryan Cranston was in Godzilla. This movie's just, I swear, Guardians of the Galaxy is going to be like awesome, but one character is going to suck, because apparently that's what we're going for with 1 and 2 on my top 2 list, but yeah, he was my one big problem with the movie. So in the end, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes is a fantastic sci-fi movie. This is not one to be missed. See this in theaters, don't see it in 3D. That's another big thing with me. I think that's another thing that made me not enjoy the film as much as I should have, is the fact I was watching it in 3D because I went to the double feature. It's not good. It's not good. See this film in 2D, you'll be happy. It's definitely worth your time though, so go see this movie stat. I know I'm going to be seeing it again on Saturday, so I can do my spoilers review, and just so I know where to place this movie. Because at this point, I really don't have enough evidence for me to say even whether I liked it more than Rise or not. I know that sounds weird, but I do think it's going to be one of those movies like Godzilla where it's better after the second time I've seen it, just so I'm not anticipating everything. So I will be seeing that again on Saturday, and you can expect spoilers review probably on Monday, so there's that. And the day it comes out. That's when I'm buying this movie, the day it comes out. Because it's awesome. And I want to watch it, because, guys, we realize Planet of the Apes, it's a great concept. In the original series, there is only one good Apes movie. I watched all of them yesterday, except for 5. 3 is one of the worst things I've ever seen. 4 is dumb, 2 is dumb. The original's awesome, the Tim Burton one sucks. We only have 3 good Apes movies. So let's buy them. Dawn of the Planet of the Apes gets an A- out of 10. Hey everybody, thank you so much for watching my video review for Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. I want to hear what you think. Did you see the film? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Are you going to see it? Are you going to skip it? Whatever your thoughts are, leave them in the comment section below because I want to hear them. And as always, if you like this video, you should hit that subscribe button. Stay more up to date on my videos. If you want to follow me on my social medias, both those are in the description box below. You can subscribe to my other channels too. Do all that, Captain's orders, and stay classy. Yeah. Look at the swag. Look at the swag. That's not the swag. This is the swag. This is the swag. See that? See that? That's awesome. That's awesome. Do you know what else is awesome? That's awesome. That is an ape on a horse with a machine gun. You're jealous you didn't go to that double feature, aren't you? Apes on horses. Apes on horses. Apes on horses. Apes on horses. Apes on horses.